This is kind of a sad video, a little bit. When I say I posted a video about something, blah 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 blah, I don't remember. I'm sorry. I just the other day realized I have like 50 something videos up there, and I'm like, but I make them as I drive, so it's very easy. The production quality is crap. It's very low quality, and it's quick snippets, and it's just stupid stuff. In one of them, I mentioned I had a friend that was onboarding with me. I hadn't seen her in a while, and I was afraid that she didn't make it through the onboarding process. You're held to whatever standard, and you got to be able to handle the workload and what have you. And she's an older person, probably a couple years younger than me, same age in that range. I never really asked her, touchy subject. But she was a tech like me, but she had done it a lot longer than I had. She was a tech maybe for 7 or 8 years, and she was a nurse prior to that in her country. And they finally kind of like allowed her to have X amount of credits where she only had to take a certain amount of courses and then test for her RN finally. And she passed NCLEX and what have you, got her license, and she was just onboarding with us, or orientating with us. So it was like a year ago, more than a year ago. And but she was having a rough go with it. She didn't go through the residency program like me and a couple of my friends did. Basically, they give you a year residency, like interning, basically, and but you're paid. You're more like a resident, I guess, and kind of ease you into it. But basically, they stretch out the orientation from I think a month is standard to I think it's like 3 or 4 months was the orientation, really. I mean, we were on our own basically after 2 months, really, but kind of them watching over us. So anyway, my friend, I heard was that she had to kind of switch gears, and they kind of basically put her in the residency program to ease her along, but she still couldn't really keep up with the pace. Now, it's not completely sad. It's a sad video, no matter what. I'm sorry to see her go. I didn't have a chance to say goodbye, your work schedules or whatever, we just don't mesh or coincide on the work schedule. But it's only sort of sad because they were able to find a position for her, from what I heard, elsewhere in the organization as a nurse. I mean, just like I said in a couple other videos, you don't have to be patient care. It doesn't have to be bedside. It doesn't have to be direct. I said this to my daughter yesterday. I said, no, you don't like that? Fine. Guess what? You can do outpatient. I think a couple of my commentaries, subscribers were saying, do outpatient care, do this care. And I threw one at her. I said, dude, pack you. Guess what? There's no interaction between you and the patient. You're looking at their vitals, but you're not carrying a conversation with them. They're out of it. It's post anesthesia. They're like, blah, like that. Once their vital signs are stable, well, they're going. Then I get them. Then they interact with me. So you don't have to do the traditional Hollywood nursing. Oh, you're doing this in your bedside, whatever, TV show you see, and there's nurses and doctors. I can't even think of them. The ones that come to mind are like ancient history, St. Elsewhere, so like I don't even know what's on TV these days. Yeah, I told you I'm 51. But you don't have to do the bedside stuff. And they were able to find a role for my friend elsewhere in the organization, paid just as much as me, but doing something completely different. That still requires a nursing license. I don't want to go into specifics. I don't want to whatever, but just realize to you guys, a lot of people they're like, oh, I can't handle poo. I can't handle patients. I can't handle this. Okay, whatever. You can't handle kids. Don't do peds. You can't handle patients. Do administrative. Do educating. Do a lot of other different there's vaccinations. I mean, that was a big thing, and recently, obviously, and still ongoing. There's so many different roles that nurses can do. It doesn't just have to be bedside. So, it's a sad story. My friend uh, didn't mesh well, or she didn't work up to the standards that they set out for bedside. Maybe if the patient ratio was lower, and we're trending that way, maybe she could have, because she told me that was the main thing she was having trouble with. It was just so many patients and doing the meds and all that. She just wasn't used to that. She was, which I was a little surprised, because she had worked as a tech. It's a different role, completely different role. But as a tech, she handled like 12 patients. And I was like, wow. As a tech, I couldn't handle more than like 8 or 9. And I'd be like, So, it's a different thought process, but you can learn it. And guess what? Even if you cannot learn it, you can still do other things. One thing that comes to mind, and she's not doing it, is home visiting nurse. Your visiting nurse, basically, you go to, and you handle one patient. You go to the person's house, and you give them, insulin or whatever medication, or IV medications, and you do it. They're not in the hospital. They're just in a home, and you're paid to go there. Do your charting like on a laptop, I guess. I've never done it, and then go answer. You maybe do like a dozen patients in a day. I had a couple professors that did that as nurse practitioners more so, but some of them also wanted to keep their skills sharp and did that on the side. They said, yeah, just to keep my skills sharp, to do that, because they love being nurses. So anyway, it's half sad, half hopefully encouragement to people that are a little reluctant, saying, I don't know about being in a hospital and all that stuff. Don't have to be. There's a lot. I wouldn't say it's a majority. Majority of jobs in nursing is bedside and in the hospital, acute settings. But a good percentage, I mean, you guys can probably look it up. I would hazard a guess at least 30%. So, yeah. And probably growing, by the way. And that was a commentary I had in another video, was because elder care is going to still grow and grow, and they need nurses. And that proportion's going to grow. Let's assign a number to it, 10%. I don't know how accurate that is. It's probably super inaccurate. But you're going to see that double in 20 years. It's going to be mind-boggling. So there are other things you can do. All right? Hang in there. Good luck.